Good day to you, children. In our previous chapters, that is in the motion chapter and Newton's laws chapter, we learned that first we learned about circular motion. Circular motion, in which we saw that objects exhibiting uniform circular motion rotate around or revolve around a fixed point. So similar, for an example, if you are to consider our own solar system, then we can observe the planets revolving around sun. Our earth revolves around the sun and completes its one revolution in 365 days. Similarly, we learnt about Newton's third law of motion. Newton's third law. This law tells us that each and every object applies an equal and opposite force on the other object. So based on these two observations, the scientists were trying to solve the question of why planets revolved around the sun, why it happened, or why objects fell down to the ground. It was not just Newton who first observed that objects fell to the ground. Before him, Galileo Galilei also had put forth his work and his ideas for this to explain the observations that were made in our day-to-day life. So, but Sir Isaac Newton was the only person who gave his ideas a mathematical proof, and so they were accepted universally. So, as we all know the story of an apple, where Isaac Newton was sitting under a tree and an apple fell on his head, and by there he discovered the force of gravity. Thereby he said that each and every object is attracted towards the earth. So the same law it not just applies to earth and all other bodies, but earth and all the objects on it, but each and every body on the universe. So this law is also known as universal law of gravitation. If you are sitting beside a friend or your parent, then gravitational force is also present between both of you. Any object in the universe which has some mass has a gravitational force or gravitational pull to it, but that force of gravity is only dependent on how much mass the object has. Compared to earth, the gravitational pull which we can apply on the earth is very, very weak, because earth is massive and it has a massive gravitational pull, whereas we are very tiny compared to that, and so our gravitational pull is very, very small. So universal law of gravitation, the statement of the law is every object in the universe attracts every other object with a force which is proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. And this force, and the force is and the force is along the line joining the centers of those two objects. So this is the total statement of the law. Every object in the universe, take note, every object, even us human beings, the table, the cycle, the trees, whatever you see, whatever that has mass has some gravitational pull or some gravitational influence. So every object in the universe attracts every other. Attracts, that means gravitational force is an attractive force. It pulls the other objects towards it. So every object in the universe attracts every other object with a force which is proportional or directly proportional, one and the same, which is proportional to product of their masses. So if we have two objects, then the force of gravity is directly proportional to the product of their masses. We learnt in the previous chapter about direct proportionality and inverse proportionality. Direct proportionality meant if one of the variables increased, then the dependent variable also, the value of the dependent variable also will increase. And inverse proportionality means when the value of one of the variables decreases, then the value of the dependent variable will increase. That is direct and inverse proportionality. So here the gravitational force is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. This universal law of gravitation is also called as inverse square law. It is also known as inverse square law because here the force acting between any two objects is inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. That is why it is known as inverse square law. So to now represent this law mathematically or to explain it. So mathematically or explain. Consider two objects. Consider two objects. Say one object with mass capital M or mass M1. It can be anything. And another object, two different objects, completely different objects, and another object with mass small m. So this is the center of the first object and this is the center of the second object. As the statement of the law says, the force acts along the line joining the centers of the objects. So here this is the line joining the centers of the objects. Let the capital M be the mass of first object and small m be the mass of second object, and small d be the distance between them. So according to Newton's the statement of the law, he says that the force is directly proportional to product of masses. So F is directly proportional. This is this symbol, the horizontal R is, it's a symbol of proportionality. So force is directly proportional to product of masses, that is capital M into small m. That is the product of masses. And also force is inversely proportional. Inverse proportionality, 1 by inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. So here capital M, small m were the masses and d was the distance separating the objects. So force is directly proportional to the product and force is inversely proportional to the distance. So combining both of them we get, this implies force is proportional to m by d square. m by d square. So this is the mathematical form of the universal law of gravitation. So here we have proportionality, the sign of proportionality. We need equal to sign. So what do? You learned last time that the proportionality can be removed by introducing a proportionality constant. So here F is equal to G into capital G into M into capital M into small m divided by D square. So this equation F is equal to G into M by D square is the mathematical form of the universal law of gravitation laid down by Sir Isaac Newton himself. And here G is called as this capital G. This capital G, previously for derivation of equation of force, we took the proportionality constant K is equal to 1. But here the proportionality constant has some value. So here this G which is also known as universal gravitation constant. This universal gravitation constant is exactly equal to 6.673 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. This is the value of the universal gravitation constant, and this was experimentally determined by Cavendish by Henry Cavendish. He performed an experiment using some magnets. So by that experiment, he calculated the value of universal gravitational constant, that is capital G, and its SI unit is Newton meter square per kg square. Now there is a question here. The mass of Earth, the solved example, first solved example of the chapter. The mass of the Earth is, so here write down question 1, 10.1. The question is in the textbook, you can refer that. So here given the mass of the Earth is 6 into 10 raised to 24 kgs. So mass of Earth M subscript T. Mass of Earth is 6 into 10 raised to 24 kilograms. And that of the moon. So, and mass of moon. Mass of moon is equal to 7.4 into 10 raised to 22 kg. 10 raised to 22 kg. So, Earth is 100 times massive than moon. Earth is 100 times massive. 10 raised to 24 kg, 10 raised to 22 kg. So now, if the distance between the Earth and moon, if the distance d, small d, is equal to 3.84 into 10 raised to 5 kilometers, which is nothing but 3.84, converting everything into SI units, 3.84 into 10 raised to 8 meters. Kilometer to meter, 10 raised to 3 is the difference. 1000. So calculate the force exerted by Earth on the moon. So obviously, since Earth is more massive than the moon, moon is attracted towards the Earth. Just like here we saw, no? Here the object which has more mass will have more gravitational force. So we will say that the other object will be attracted towards us. Why Earth attracts us towards us is because it has a much larger mass. Why all the planets revolve around Sun is because Sun is very, very massive compared to all other objects present in our solar system. That is why the Sun's gravitational pull is very, very large. Even Jupiter cannot escape. Jupiter, which is the largest planet of our solar system, cannot escape Sun's gravitational pull. An interesting fact is that about 95% of the mass of the solar system is made up of Sun only. The rest 5% makes up all the planets, comets, asteroids, and every other thing which we observe in our night sky. So now here, given mass of Earth 6 into 10 raised to 24 kg, mass of moon 7.4 into 10 raised to 22 kg, distance is 3.84 into 10 raised to 8 meters. So now Also they have given us the value of g, which is equal to 6.7 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. So now we need to calculate the force, gravitational force. We know that F is equal to, gravitational force is equal to G into ME, mm, mass of earth, mass of moon, product of masses divided by distance square. This is the formula which we are supposed to use. So substituting all the values, F is equal to 6 into 6.7, the value of G, 6.7 into 10 raised to minus 11 into mass of earth, 6 into 10 raised to 24 kg into mass of moon, that is 7.4 into 10 raised to 22 kg whole divided by the distance, that is 3.84 into 10 raised to 8. Since it was in kilometer, we converted it into meters. 10 raised to 8 square of the distance. So now simplifying, we get force is equal to, so multiplying 6.7 into 6 into 7.4, we get 297.48 into the exponents. Since all the bases are same, we can add all the powers. So 10 raised to minus 11 plus 24 plus 22 divided by that the 3.84 whole square, 3.84 square is equal to 14.74 into the once again applying the law of exponents, 10 raised to 8 square will become 10 raised to 16. So simplifying everything, we get force is equal to 2.01 into 10 raised to 20 Newton. So it is a very large force with which Earth attracts the moon. So imagine the force with which the sun attracts the Earth. So the importance of this law, importance of gravitation law, or the importance of the law is that the universal law of gravitation successfully explained several phenomena which were believed to be unconnected, and that was, the first one was the motion of planets around sun. Similarly, it also explained the motion of moon around earth, and the presence of tides, the waves of the seas, which you can see that during new moon and full moon times the waves are pretty high, which we call as tides. The tides on earth, it is also due to the gravitational pull of moon and sun. So the tides on earth due to moon and sun. It also explained why objects stayed on earth. Why didn't they fly up to the sky? The objects falling to the earth was also explained by universal law of gravitation. Now next section, we need to understand something known as free fall. So consider a situation where you go to the top of the highest building that you know and drop a stone from the roof of that building. If you are standing on top of a building and you drop a rock from there, from the top of that building towards the ground, it will obviously come towards the ground because of the pull of gravity. But can you think of any other forces other than gravity acting on this rock? There are obviously two forces. First one is gravity, which will pull the rock to the ground, and the second force is frictional force of air. Friction of air or air friction. So these two forces are responsible or are acting on a rock which has been thrown from a top of a building or any object which is falling towards the ground. But usually we consider friction of air to be zero. We neglect that because that force is very, very small. So whenever free fall means whenever objects fall only under the influence of gravity. So when the objects fall to the earth, under only the influence of gravity, are said to be in free fall. So if you neglect the air friction, then usually the objects are under free fall. We consider air friction to be zero. So when you throw an object from the top, when it comes to the ground, it exhibits the free fall motion. So here we know that force is equal to m into a. You know that force is m into a. But we also know that F force is equal to G into mm by d square from universal law of gravitation. This is from second law of motion and this is from universal law of gravitation. But both of these equations give the value of force only. So we can combine both the equations and write them as m into a is equal to G into mm by d square. Agree? So here small mass. Here capital mass. We talked about objects falling to earth. So the capital mass indicates mass of earth. Small m indicates capital M mass of earth. Small m mass of the object which has been thrown down or which is falling. That is the mass of small object. So mm cancels each other. The force acting on an object is nothing but gravitational force. So both forces are same. So in the end we get A is equal to G m by d square. We know that d is the distance between earth and the object and g is the universal gravitational constant. Here we call this acceleration. Which is present only under the influence of gravity as acceleration due to gravity. So we can replace this A by a letter small g, which is equal to G m by d square. Here d square is nothing but radius of the earth. Ultimately the object will fall to the earth. So we said that from center, force acts from center. So center of earth to the object which is present on top of it. The distance will nothing but be radius of earth. So this equation can be rewritten as G is equal to small g is equal to capital G capital M by R square, where capital R is the radius of earth. So now we know the value of G, which is 6.7 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton per meter square per kg, Newton meter square per kg square. And similarly mass of earth is 6 into 10 raised to 24 kgs. Also radius of the earth is 6 into 10 raised to 6 meters. So substituting all these values we can find the value of small g. So here we know that Capital G is equal to 6.7 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. Mass of earth is equal to 6 into 10 raised to 24 kilograms, and radius of the earth is 6 into 10 raised to 6 meters. So substituting all these values, we can calculate the value of G. So small g is equal to 6.7 into 10 raised to minus 11, that is G, into m, that is the mass, 6 into 10 raised to 24 divided by 6 into 10 raised to 6 whole square, that is square of the radius or the square of the distance. So G is equal to 6.7 into 10 raised to minus 11 into 6 into 10 raised to 24 divided by 6 into 6 into 10 raised to 36. 6 into 6 because it is 6 square, and 10 raised to 36 because 6 into 2. Sorry, this is 12. 10 raised to 12. So 6 cancels each other. We get G is equal to, so on simplification, we get the value of G to be is equal to 9.8 meter per second square. So this value, this small g, as I said before, is acceleration due to gravity. So now we know that we already understood that value of G is 9.8 meter per second square. It is a very important result. We will be using this value multiple times in our calculations, children. So take note of this value. G, small g, acceleration due to gravity, is 9.8 meter per second square. This value holds good near the equators. But as you move towards the poles, at the poles of the earth, North Pole and South Pole, G is almost equal to, nearly equal to 10 meter per second square. G is nearly equal to 10 meter per second square near the poles. So this is the concept of free fall. Now we learned few basic equations of motion, right? Equations of motion in the chapter 8, that is motion. So here, equations of motion for objects experiencing gravitational force. So we know that the equations were V is equal to U plus AT. This was the first equation. The second equation was S is equal to UT plus half AT square. And lastly, the third equation was V square minus U square is equal to 2AS. So here in these three equations, the only change is that we have to replace A by G. Replacing A by G and rewriting the equations, we get, rewriting these equations, we get V is equal to U plus GT, where G is the acceleration due to gravity, which has a fixed value. So no matter from how far the object is falling, even if it falls from the space itself, if it is falling on earth, it will always fall with a constant acceleration, that is 9.8 meter per second square. Its acceleration will never change. So free fall exhibits an uniform motion. Free fall is a kind of uniform motion. Similarly, the second equation can be rewritten as S is equal to UT plus half GT square. And lastly, the third equation can be rewritten as V square minus U square is equal to 2GS. So these are the equations of motion for the objects moving under the influence of gravity. In the next class, we'll look at few of the solved examples based on this concept, and also learn about the difference of gravity on earth and also on moon. Difference of gravitational pull on earth and moon. So that's all for today. Thank you.